viewers, welcome to this week's episode of Health Watch. This week we shall be discussing child nutrition, and to discuss this with me today is Mrs. Ngozi Ikeliani. She was the coordinator of nutrition in the FCT, and with emphasis on infant and young child feeding. You're welcome to the program today.
Thank you very much.
Good to see you. All right, so we'll just go straight to it. What is child nutrition? That's the first question, obviously, that we'll be asking today. What is child nutrition?
Yes, when we talk about child nutrition, we are talking about the basic nutrition of the young child. Okay. And by young child, for the emphasis of nutrition, we categorize the young child as that baby from birth to 12 months. Okay. That's the infant. But the young child takes off from 12 months to 24 months. So in other words, birth to 12 months is the infant.
Okay.
I beg your pardon. And then from 12 months to 24 months is the young child.
Young child. Okay.
And our emphasis in nutrition actually is for that child under 5, because this age has to do with the age that proper nutrition is encouraged, so that adequate development, adequate foundation for growth and development of the child throughout life, that is when it is laid. So when the nutrition of the child is taken good care of and is adequate enough to take care of the growth and development and the foundation laying stone of the child's growth, if it is well taken care of, then you know that the child is good to go, even till adult life. Most of those sicknesses that children come down with, or even adults that people come down with at old age, is as a result of improper nutrition, which is done between that age of 0 to 5 years. But emphasis is on the first 2 years of life, the 1,000 days of life.
1,000 days of life.
Yes.
So you have between 0 and 12
months, yes, as the infant.
That's the infant stage.
Yes,
and
yes.
This is a very important stage of the child. Then you have the rest.
That's right.
12 months to 24
yes.
months. Okay, now, when does this nutrition become important? When does it start? Of course, it's a mother that is responsible for bringing out the nutrition in the child. But when does it actually start, the child nutrition? Is it when the child is born or before the child is even born?
Thank you very much. The child nutrition commences from the time the woman takes in. That is when the woman is pregnant.
Okay.
That is why we encourage pregnant women to eat adequately right from the word go, because whatever the woman takes is used for the growth of the baby inside the womb. When this nutrition is not well taken care of in utero or inside the womb, the baby is born with less nutrition, and that is what we call undernutrition, or the child comes out with a low birth weight. And this low birth weight indicates that the child is not, the weight the child attains at birth is not the estimated weight for the child of, let's assume it's a pregnancy of 9 months, which is what is the standard. Okay, if a child is born below the expected age, the expected weight of that 9-month child, that is when we say that the child is born with a low birth weight. And low birth weight is a very serious indicator of improper nutrition inside the womb. And when there's improper nutrition inside the womb, a lot of factors are there. But we take care of the nutrition. Let the rest be taken care of by the health status of the woman.
Okay, so the next question I'll ask now. Now, we can see that it's important for the woman to be healthy before because the child's nutrition starts from when the child is actually conceived, from the beginning, when the child is conceived. So what kind of food should the mother be eating, in preparation, for her child? Should she be eating it before or maybe she gets married and she's hoping she'll get pregnant in the next couple of months, then she starts eating well, or she should start eating all through her life, or she should start eating when she conceives, and the kind of food she should be
Yes, you notice that when women become pregnant, that is in the early months of pregnancy, it's usually very difficult for them to take what they want to take, because you see their body rejecting, their body is so disorganized, and the smell of certain foods put them off, making them not to eat. But the woman has the nutrition within already. A well built up woman that is not undernourished before she takes in, whatever she takes, normal food, she's not encouraged to even take excess food, because that will make her to be overweight. And overweight is not proper nutrition. So what we're talking about is let the woman take adequate food. That is the normal food that she eats, but with all the complements that that is the food. What do I call it now? The food components. Let it be adequate. In other words, we expect the woman to take a lot of proteins, take a lot of vitamins, take a lot of enough carbohydrate, not the one that will make her to be overweight. Normal food that she takes actually, has all this in stock. But the problem we have in this part of the world is that we don't take enough proteins. That is when we talk about the food, the animal proteins or animal protein and proteins. And unfortunately in pregnancy, some of these ones are terrible for the woman to take. But there are others that the woman can take that will help her in just the normal proportion. She's not encouraged to to take so much. But what the woman should do is to cut down on the other foods that has nothing to, especially sugars, because we know in this part of the world we like a lot of soda, that is minerals, and these minerals can give the woman nothing except sugar. So the woman should make sure that she takes enough food. With 1 egg a day can do, 2-3 pieces of meat in a day can do, normal plant protein, beans products, and the vegetables and fruits in normal quantities. She will have enough that will help her to take care of the baby, as the baby grows. But you know that when the baby starts growing actively inside the womb, let's say from around 4, 5, 6 months, the tendency is for the woman to eat more because she's frequently hungry. At that time, the woman is encouraged to take as much as she can, but she can complement with a lot of fruits and vegetables. These are the vital components. Okay, so
the point now is try to take as much protein
as
you can get.
Yes.
Then take out the whole sugar, soda, which sometimes people crave, and
and unfortunately,
but cut down on the sugar,
yes, cut down on the sugar.
And then focus on maybe carbohydrates.
Normal carbohydrates. Fats and oil, of course, are usually must be a component of the food we take, because it's still important.
So lots of nuts.
Yes, nuts. Yes, nuts, you're right.
Oil.
Yes.
But good oil, because I know.
Which oil do you think that is not good? It's just a little oil. In fact, whether the woman is pregnant or not, everybody is encouraged not to take much oil. So small quantity of oil in our food is okay. That will be okay.
And vegetables, very important.
Vegetables and fruits.
For your vitamins and
yes.
fruits. Okay, that's good. So I'm sure.
That's in pregnancy. Then as soon as the baby is born, that is when the baby takes care, the mother must take care of the baby's nutrition. And that starts with exclusive breastfeeding practice. We encourage mothers to start breastfeeding within 30 minutes of birth. Why do we say that? Because it is important that the first food that enters the baby's mouth is breast milk. Some women will tell you that at birth the milk is not flowing. It doesn't need to flow. That 1 or 2 drops of that first part of the breast milk goes a long way. We call it colostrum. And that colostrum, we call it the first part of breast milk. And it comes in within 3 to 4 days of birth. It's enough for the baby. A drop of it can be equated with 15 mils of the normal breast milk flow. Wow. So it is really heavily loaded with all the nutrients and all the protective factors that the baby needs at that material time. So the mother is encouraged to put the baby to breast within 30 minutes and continue to put the baby to breast. The baby, immediately the baby is born, suckles actively. When some women feel that they are tired from labor and they want to rest, you see that the hormone that causes the production of this breast milk goes to rest. And the baby too will not be sucking actively as the baby was sucking immediately at birth. The tiredness of delivery and everything made the baby to go to sleep. And that is very dangerous, because that hormone that brings about the breast milk will go down, and we need frequent suckling again for the baby to bring it up. That's why you see some women telling you that within 4 days, my milk is not flowing. And true, it's not flowing. If the baby is not put to breast immediately at birth, it's difficult for the milk to come on. It will take like 3-4 days, and that is when you see the mothers looking for something else to give. Some they want to resort to glucose, others want to resort to artificial milk, but that is discouraged. It's discouraged because of the problems it can cause to the baby.
That's a really serious point to note, because sometimes you see that early stage, you know, because you don't put the baby to keep sucking, so it's important for you to have the baby, keep the baby there to keep sucking, so that you can increase the levels of lactate.
Exactly. That is why you see your trained health workers. Please, the nurses in the maternities, in the labor rooms, even if you don't have somebody helping you, you know, we are blessed in this part of the world that the woman that comes to labor must usually come with somebody, either the mother-in-law, somebody. You can wrap the baby and let the woman hold it for the mother to suckle on one part. All that the breast needs is few suckling. Pong, 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 pong. You go to the other side. Pong, pong. That keeps the level high. And within 24 hours, breast milk will start to flow. And another important factor in it is that it ensures continuous production of breast milk. For the 6 months we are soliciting for exclusive breastfeeding practice.
So in this exclusive breastfeeding,
no
other form of... you know, there are people that still try to give water to the kids, you know, because they feel, the weather is hot, or my child needs water.
That is our feeling. Exclusive breastfeeding practice is giving the baby only breast milk with no other liquid or solid or whatsoever, from birth, within 30 minutes of birth, till the baby is 6 months. It is after 6 months that you begin to add other complements to help that is to add to the breast milk that the baby is taking. Because at that stage anyway, the breast milk will not be enough for the baby. But within this first 6 months of life, the breast milk is enough. Why do we say that? Because it's like laying a good foundation. You know, it's not the type of foundation you lay on ordinary land that you lay in a waterlogged area. So that baby that came out from that womb needs that milk for this foundation that we are talking about. And if you don't give the baby the correct foundation for the nutrition, that is why we have later in life crisis. Okay, you have one crisis or the other. Okay, so we encourage mothers to try as much as possible. Commence this breastfeeding within that. Milk may not come immediately, but that one drop is enough. You can hold the baby because the glucose content of that milk is high. All the anti-infective property required to loosen up all that the baby has accumulated inside the baby's stomach within the 9 months that the baby was in the womb. It is this first part of the milk that will help the baby to stool it out. That is that green stool that we have. Because if that green stool does not go out immediately, at times the body begins to absorb it, and it can help in. It can also lead to jaundice of the baby. So it is really, really imperative that the mother understands this. If the health worker does not know about it, the mother that knows, can tell the health worker, please give me my baby, I want to put to breast. She put it on the first breast for about 3 to 4 minutes, put on the other breast 3 to 4 minutes, then the baby is now kept to be taken care of, bathed and dressed, and then the mother is cleaned up, and there are so much benefits about it. Because when the baby suckles, even when the placenta is not loosened, you know, when it suckles, it instigates one of the hormones that help in contracting the uterus oxytocin. And that hormone helps to contract even the womb. And the placenta goes off, helping the woman not to bleed. So it can save life.
It's amazing what we have.
Yeah, God made everything perfect. God made everything perfect. It's we human beings that go to put in our own little knowledge that we have. I call it little knowledge because actually some of those things that we do, when you look at the rationale in doing it, you see that it doesn't even help our life. Okay, especially in this aspect of breastfeeding. That's why we encourage mothers, do it. Do it. Some will tell you they can't do it. They have 1,001 reasons, but there's no reason. Our God that made it so, okay, knows that this is the only thing that will help the baby to lay the correct foundation that we can build up.
The milk trying to supplement with other kinds of artificial milk
is
birth is a no-no because
it's a no-go area. It's completely unacceptable, except medically indicated. There are some babies that are born with some health challenges or issues, and so that's why we say unless medically indicated. That's when you give syrups, you know, and other drugs and so on.
Okay. On that note, we'll just go quickly on a break, and when we return, we'll continue discussing child nutrition. Don't go anywhere. We'll be right back.
You mastered eating for two, but what should you do now that you're breastfeeding? Your nutrition is important and affects your baby. Mothers who are breastfeeding should consume approximately 400 to 500 extra calories a day. That's about 1 slice of whole wheat toast with peanut butter, a small yogurt, and a banana. Choose foods that contain vitamins A, B, and D, healthy fatty acids, and iodine. These can be found in foods like whole grains, vegetables and fruits, and protein-rich foods like eggs, beans, lean meat, and dairy. Seafood like salmon is a good choice, but you shouldn't have more than 3 servings of fatty fish per week. Drink healthy too, like a glass of water every time you nurse to stay hydrated. And avoid the empty calories of sugary sodas and fruit drinks. Ask your doctor about vitamins. She may recommend taking prenatal vitamins or other supplements that can help support your nutritional needs while breastfeeding. Remember, eating healthy while breastfeeding isn't just good for you, but for baby too.
Welcome back. Before we went on the break, we were discussing child nutrition, and we had gone on to talk about breastfeeding. Now we have returned. Our guest today is going to be telling us the benefits of breastfeeding. So, Ma, the benefits of this, because you've talked a lot about the importance of this breastfeeding, and I think I'm learning a lot here today. So, what are these benefits?
Yes, the benefits of breastfeeding are numerous. You see that the baby gains, the mother gains, the health facilities gain, the nation gain, even the community where the woman stays has something to gain too. When you talk about the baby, we mentioned few, you know, the fact that the breast milk, especially that first part, colostrum, contains the anti-infective properties that help the baby not to come down with some infections. They fight these infections to a standstill, okay, and it nourishes the baby. Then the other benefits include the fact that it brings a bonding between the baby and the mother. And not only that, the child is nourished with a kind of diet that is complete in all the requirements. That's why you see some breastfeeding babies, when breastfeeding babies, they don't stool often. Okay. You notice for 2, 3, 4 days they may not stool because the body is absorbing virtually everything that the child takes, unlike when artificial food is being given. And then the mother also gains a lot equally, you know, because the breastfeeding reduces the incidences of ovarian and breast cancers that we are seeing that is ravaging our women now. It's not unconnected with our inadequacies in breastfeeding as we are supposed to, because breastfeeding should be exclusively for the first 6 months and continued breastfeeding for 2 years. Okay, some mothers will tell you, no, we don't want to do it this way and so, and that is affecting our health. And apart from that, I mentioned the incidence of reducing bleeding, you know, at birth. That bleeding, because of the suckling of the baby on the breast, it triggers off some of the factors in the body that help the uterus to contract and reduces bleeding. And the woman's shape comes to normal because all those excess fats that the woman gathered during pregnancy, the baby will suck it out. And that bonding, that love between the mother and the child cannot be quantified with anything. And the woman also has less stress, because whenever the baby cries, he carries the baby and puts it away. No boiling of hot water, no going to look for milk. You know, spend less. The community will spend less. Even the home, the family, the money that will be used to buy all these artificial milks and things that are selling so costly now. These things are, in fact, when I went the other time to buy artificial milk, I said, you see, why should people go for this except those who don't have any other means of feeding, you know, like the orphans and you know, the sick. You know, apart from that, everybody should breastfeed their baby, you know, because it reduces costs. The milk is so expensive. You come at, you look at the health facilities. In the past, if you see the number of children that come down with diarrheas, okay, it will amaze you.
Because some of this, of course, some of this packaged milk or food, they come from very long distance, and
apart from that, mixtures and so on. You leave human milk that should be given to human beings. You go and give cows milk. Cow will not come to take our own milk to give to their babies. Every other animal give their milk to their baby. It's only the human being that we want to, and the manufacturers will write on the tape almost like breast milk, but when it's not breast milk, if it is not Panadol, it's not Panadol. Okay, so that is it. It's not breast milk. So all these benefits, and the nation, the hospitals spend less, you know, infusions and giving sets, the time wasted for doctors to put in IV lines, and so for diarrheas that result from artificial feeding and so on. Then the nation will spend less. All the huge monies used in importing the artificial food can be channeled into bringing equipment to equip the health facilities for other things.
Now, this woman, you know, of course, breastfeeding, I know it takes a lot, you know, when you're breastfeeding, but do you still continue your protein food? Because you also need to eat to produce the kind of milk.
Yes, even at, during breastfeeding, you notice the mother gets very thirsty because the water in her is what the baby takes. Okay, and then the food. So the woman gets hungry very easily. So the woman is advised to eat. She eats normally. If she likes, she can take an extra meal. Okay, but most times, most women, when they eat normally, you know, eat their normal food, but a bit more than what they take ordinarily. Okay, you see that they don't have any problem. It's when they don't eat or the thirst is so much that and they don't drink that you feed them feeling it. Otherwise, a woman is not supposed to feel it. You take a lot of water, a lot of drinks like pap and all those things that help the breast milk to flow. Okay,
now, and then this thing that happens when people want their breast milk to flow, they take
that's what I want to say. They palm wine, some take stouts and so on. It is not advisable. Yes, in some parts of the world, in some part of this country, they take a lot of food made with kawa, or potash. I know potash is very dangerous to the heart, and that is why you see so many young ladies coming down with cardiac failures. You know, the load, the fluid volume during pregnancy, and now at delivery, we think we are doing them good. We cook cow leg with potash, and the woman drinks, and that increases the potash in their system. The potassium level in their system is higher than normal, and that causes that heart failure. So normal food, then coming to alcohol. When the baby takes alcohol, no, when the woman takes alcohol, actually, because it's fluid, you know, in palm wine, you know, the milk will flow. Even if it takes ordinary water, milk will flow.
Oh, so the concept is the water.
Is the fluid.
The fluid that's in it.
That's why we encourage them to take a lot of pap, a lot of beverages, you know, but not teas. You know, some teas contain caffeine. Okay, but this alcohol, when the baby takes it, the baby sleeps for a long time, and the mother thinks that it's because the baby is well fed, the milk is flowing. It's actually, or the baby is actually under the influence of alcohol. Intoxication, yes. So mothers are encouraged not to resort to that. You know, in all cultures, They have one thing or the other that they take to encourage. To help. But any other thing apart from what does not contain what contains alcohol, or rather what does not contain alcohol, is not encouraged. Okay. So anything with alcohol is completely not encouraged, because it makes the baby to become sensitive with alcohol at a very tender age. And the liver is very fragile. We are building up a lot of problems with the baby's liver. And it's not encouraged at all. Wow. It's not encouraged.
That's a very good one, because I
ordinary sweet.
People that are
pepper soup. In fact, we encourage mothers to ask for pepper soup. Okay. You know, good pepper soup with chicken, with plenty of chicken and fish. Fresh fish or dry fish is encouraged. Instead of giving alcohol, use the money to buy chicken and buy fish and make correct pepper soup for the mother. Okay, even those that use cow leg, it's still okay, but cook it overnight. Yes, please don't add potash. Yes, thank you.
The potassium level. Thank you very much. That's a lot we are taking. Now, okay, we have seen the 0 to 6 months.
Yes.
And so the mothers, the whole story about taking palm wine and all of that to induce breast milk is not necessary. Just fluid will do the work.
Yes.
And then breastfeeding exclusively for the first
6 months
is extremely important for the child, especially the first drop of breast milk that the child will get. Okay, now we'll move
at 6 months.
At 6 months.
Yes. At 6 months, breastfeeding continues.
Okay.
The baby is fed on demand. Whenever the baby cries, breastfeeding is given to the baby. We don't time the baby. We forgot to mention it in the other. You don't time the baby. Whenever the baby cries, the mother feeds. Okay. And the baby is supposed to have enough breast milk. Now we carry the baby on for 6 months. Another important thing we needed to add in the first 6 months of life is, if you say the baby should take only breast milk, that breast milk must flow. And what makes the breast milk to flow is not even the quantity of food the woman is eating, is the frequency in suckling by the baby.
Okay.
And such being the case, the mother is taught how to carry the baby, position the baby well, and attach the baby to the breast, so that milk will flow. It's the baby that brings out the milk. Not even, it's no struggle for the woman at all. It's the baby that has the sole responsibility of bringing out that milk. And once you position the baby correctly,
doesn't struggle to suck.
No, the baby will do what he knows best. God has created the baby to do it. And nobody teaches the baby how to suckle, because God has already done that. So at 6 months now, we encourage the mothers to begin with what we call complementary food.
Okay.
We don't wean the baby, yes. Breastfeeding continues. Okay. But because it provides like 50% of the child's requirements in terms of energy, you know, at this time, we want the mothers to now complement the other 50% with cereals. We encourage them to start with cereal. And we are blessed in this part of the world because we have a lot of cereals. Okay. You have corn, you have dawa, you have joro, you have even rice. You can make everything into a cereal pack.
People think if you want to give a child good food, you know, it has to be expensive. It has to have a lot of.
I don't know.
You have to buy it off the, you know, spend thousands. You know, just like we said earlier, people spend a lot of money on something that's free.
It is a terrible mentality. You see, the locally produced foodstuffs is available, is fresh. You can make it the way you want for the baby. Instead of going for those ones in containers, those ones must have preservative.
Of course.
And those preservatives are part of the issues that we are suffering now. Okay? So, but the ones you prepare, you know, you don't need to add any preservative, because you make it for a few weeks or few days or few, you know, just for a few weeks. When it finishes, you make another one. You can take 1 mudu of corn, 1 mudu of dawa, 1 mudu of whatever, whichever one. In fact, vary it for the baby. You can make corn, yellow corn this time around, soak it, grind it, make it into pap, and then add something. Okay, we encourage the mothers to now fortify the pap with something. Of course, the pap must have sugar, because a little sugar, not so much that we made that normal table sugar. Yes, a little sugar for taste, to make it palatable, because the breast milk that the baby is taking is not all that bland. It has some sugar in it. Okay, you add a little sugar, then you look for protein. Okay, that protein you can get from where I encourage the mothers to use groundnuts. You know, groundnut is so good because we have it anybody can fry the groundnuts, remove the bag, and then grind it into powder and put in a container. All you need is to take like half a teaspoon, because at 6 months the baby is encouraged to take this cereal twice a day. Okay. And that twice a day should be about 2 to 3 tablespoons. Okay. You put it in the baby's cup, you know, the small cup that we use for the babies. It's about 250 mils. So we believe that you start with 2 spoons. If the baby finishes it after 1 week, you keep on increasing. That's between 6 months to 9 months, the baby can start finishing half of that 250 ml cup, and that will be enough. Well fortified with a little sugar and groundnuts, or you can even grind crayfish and use, or you make soya beans. Soya bean is quite good, but the problem we have is that some people don't prepare it very well. So we just put it in the container, fry, just go remove the bag and then grind. We encourage mothers to boil it for some time. You remove the ticks, you know, boil it for about 20 minutes. The back is loose and it's already a bit, and when it is boiled, there are some components of the beans that, especially those at the back, that may be toxic to the baby's stomach, that is removed. So when it's loosened, you wash it like you want to do beans for my then you now spread it outside to dry. When it dries, thank God we have a lot of sunshine here. When it dries, for 2 to 3 days it will dry. Then you put it back in a frying pan and then just fry it a little, because when you fry it, it enhances the smell. The smell of soya bean is not too good. So when you fry it golden brown, it enhances the smell. Then it's now ground into powder and then put in a container. You know, half a teaspoon of that soya bean provides about 30 grams of protein, which the baby cannot get from any other thing. Then as the baby progresses to 9 months, that is when we can start using ordinary available milk in the market. Okay, you can, the child is used to eating other things. Then we can start adding whatever, but we don't even, because milk is some babies react so much to milk. You know, the baby might be having a lot of allergies from cow protein. So it's not even, I've known so many babies that, you know, the mothers continue to visit the hospital until they stopped giving the baby milk, all those milk. So we can resort to other things. And at this time, while the mother has started on cereals, the mother can now go into other foods, like mashed foods, mashed Irish potato, mashed orange yellow sweet potato. You know? Orange yellow, yes. It is, that one contains a lot of vitamin A. So when it is boiled, mashed, a drop of palm oil, a little salt, mix it up, add a little hot water, it will be poto like pap, and the baby will take it. Correct meal, you know. And by taking it, the baby is gradually being introduced into the family diet, you know, so that with time the baby can easily translate into family diet without. Okay,
this is very, very interesting, but let's take a quick break, and when we return we'll continue to discuss the food. So we'll be right back. Don't go anywhere.
Foods to avoid while breastfeeding. It is very important that moms maintain regular meals when breastfeeding to gain essential nutrients and also to increase breast milk levels. And while not all babies react to the same foods, here are 10 foods that might cause problems. 1. Caffeine. It's important to know that caffeine does work its way into your breast milk. Babies' bodies aren't prepared to process caffeine as quickly as an adult body. So if you are hoping that your baby will nap soon, wait to have your coffee until after baby is asleep. 2. Fish. You don't need to avoid fish entirely, but you do need to be selective about what types of seafood you're eating. Some fish can be high in mercury, which can find its way into your milk supply. 3. Chocolate. Some nursing mothers also find that eating chocolate has a laxative effect on baby. Watch your baby's behavior and diapers. If she becomes fussy or has a runny poop after you eat chocolate, that means it's time to cut back or eliminate altogether. 4. Parsley or peppermint. Parsley is a nice garnish, and peppermint makes a fabulous tea. The problem with these herbs is they both come with the risk of reducing your supply. 5. Dairy. Dairy is one of the most common problem foods for breastfed babies. If your baby is sexually fussy after nursing, has eczema or other skin issues, or has sleep issues, an elimination diet is a good place to start. 6. Alcohol. Alcohol does get into your breast milk and can negatively affect your child. While it's best to avoid drinking, if you choose to have a drink or two, it will take 1 to 2 hours for the alcohol to metabolize. 7. Citrus. Your baby's GI tract is still immature, and some of the compounds in citrus fruits can be especially irritating. Citrus can cause spitting up, fussiness, or even diaper rash. If you're craving some vitamin C, try having some pineapple or mango instead. 8. Peanuts. If there is a history of peanut allergy in your family, make sure to avoid eating peanuts until after your baby is weaned. The allergenic compounds in peanuts and tree nuts can be transmitted through breast milk. If you're not sure if your baby might have a peanut allergy, watch for wheezing, rash, or hives in your baby. These can be signs of an allergic reaction. 9. Garlic. If you find that your baby is occasionally reluctant to nurse or pulls up while nursing to make faces, see if it coincides with when you last ate something laced with garlic. While most of us think that garlic makes everything better, babies' palates haven't matured enough to appreciate it yet. 10. Wheat. Gluten intolerance might take the blame if your baby develops bloody stools. Fussiness and painful tummy can also point to issues with wheat. Like dairy, the best way to determine if wheat is an issue is to follow an elimination diet.
Welcome back, viewers. Before we went on the break, we were still discussing child nutrition, and we're discussing on the simple ways you can feed your child healthily and, to bring them up well. And we still have Mrs. Ikeliani with us today. Well, thank you very much, ma'am.
You're welcome.
For the information you've been giving us. Okay, we'll just carry on with what we were discussing before we went on the break. Now, that's weaning stage from 6.
Yes, we are talking about, for your information, we don't call it weaning.
Okay.
We talk about weaning, we're talking about abrupt stoppage of breastfeeding. And we don't stop. So breastfeeding is continuous. Okay. So we mentioned complementary foods, and we mentioned that we're using locally available foods. And we complementary because at 6 months, breast milk is insufficient to provide the nutritional needs of the baby at that month. And then we mentioned the issue of cereals, and that cereals are so important because we have it available, and that is easy for a woman to prepare to augment the breastfeeding at that stage. And then we talked about what can be added to breast milk. And I mentioned the point that I always love discussing with mothers. In my health talks, I always ask them, what have you given to the baby from yesterday? So that I will know for 24 hours what the baby has taken. Because it will help you to analyze and know if the baby is receiving the nutritional requirements for the age. And you hear some mothers that will tell you that they fed the baby. And then when you ask with what, he will tell you they fed the baby with pap, that she added a little salt. You can imagine what ignorance can do. Every mother wants to give the baby the best. Yes. It's just ignorance, And when I tell the woman to sit down and finish the pap with salt, you see them turning their faces and doing like this. I said, this is what you're giving to the baby. Okay? Can't you look for something else? Then we take off from there. And then let the mothers know that this baby is equally a human being, and the baby must take what is good at this age. So in effect, we mentioned some things that can complement the foods that we are given, especially the paps. I like kununjada. Kununjada is another good one that can be given to the baby. Then we mentioned in the northern part of this country where they do tuwo shinkafa. The mother can,
rice?
yes, mashed rice, yes. The mother can take out some of that mashed rice, then fortify it with all the things we've talked about. You can even
introduce fruits or any form of,
yes, we are coming to that.
Right, okay.
You can add a drop of palm oil, salt into shinkafa, and then ground crayfish or ground granules or soya beans into it. That's we fortify the food.
Wow.
The food is complete.
So sometimes you
in terms of nutritional. Fortify means adding, yes,
so
what
this is the best fortification of the child food,
and it's natural, it's fresh, no preservative.
Wow.
Okay, so with that now,
fruits.
yes, at this stage you can now start adding fruits,
okay,
at least twice a day. Okay, you start with once. If the baby tolerates, you move on. What kind of fruit can we have? A lot. Banana is always good, and we know banana contains potassium, so it's very good for the child. Okay. Not that we'll go and force the child to finish one whole banana. You start with a small chom. You can just easily mash it and give to the baby. We have mangoes, well ripe, mangoes. We have pineapples. We have watermelon. We have pawpaw. We have a lot of fruits, passion fruits. All these are high in vitamin A. And because they are very concentrated with vitamin A, it's good to give the baby, no matter how small. You start gradually, continue to give, starting from once a day, then we progress to twice a day. By the time the baby is 12 months, then you begin to give other family foods. You can cut it into small bits. Even the yam that everybody takes, when you get the baby to cut it, cook the yam very soft, cut it, and then put ordinary palm oil and salt. Wow. It's enough food. Then talk of when you get a leaf of vegetable, these are leafu, that if you just boil it a little bit, mash it together with whatever. Okay, carrots, you can boil it to soft, mash it with whatever. You can mash it with ordinary rice that you took from tuwo shinkafa. We have a lot of food. It's not the problem we're having is that the mothers are not patient enough.
Yes.
Mothers don't have patience.
Not knowing
and
that
knowledge.
What you cook generally, you can actually just do it, give it to the baby and not buy anything extra for the baby. You can feed.
There was a time I had a lot of malnourished children, at a particular time of the year, from October to December. I noticed that we are always having a lot of babies that require blood transfusion. So I decided on my own to conduct a small research in Karumo Gwagwa axis of the FCT. That was when I discovered that, during the corn season, some mothers boil corn and they keep for the children at home and they go their market or wherever. So at the end of the day, when they come back, that's when they cook. That is poor nutrition for these children. So they keep on eating corn till mama comes back in the evening. That is why and when they come, the child at that time will be so weak. The tummy is filled up with corn and water, and the child will just take a little of any good nutritious food, maybe fresh soup and whatever the mother might have made at that time. You notice that these things were so much at this time, that we had to conduct a sensitization program among those communities to tell them, at least if you're going out, even if you fry akara and live in the house, it's better than corn. Okay? Not that you can't give corn because everybody likes corn, but then we are giving it so much. And that's, if you give only cereal without fortifying the food, that's the point I'm trying to make. It will still lead to undernutrition, and that is what we don't want. And you see that child growing with that undernutrition, you go to 1 year, 2 years with undernutrition. If it's young girls at the early age, he marries with undernutrition, and with that undernutrition he becomes pregnant and then delivers low birth weight, and the low birth weight, it's a circle. It's a circle. That's why we must break it at this age.
Now the area of fats and oil, because I know it has a lot to do with the brain development for fats and oil. What kind of fats?
Yes, you notice that groundnut has fat. That's why I like starting with groundnuts. It has fat and palm oil. I mentioned palm oil. Yes, the baby must be introduced with palm oil. Okay, a drop of palm oil in a mashed orange flesh sweet potato, Irish potato, even yam, even rice, whatever you cook, you can put a drop of palm oil, a little palm oil and salt, and then add water to make it softer. And the baby takes. That is richer than anything you can see in those containers, like Cerelac, Nutrient, and whatever. You know, those ones, you don't know what they prepared and what they use in fortifying it, what they use in preserving, and that will be dangerous to the child's tummy. So fresh foods cannot be quantified at all, and we have a lot of things that we can give the baby. A lot. Look at tomatoes. You can add tomato in decide to add tomato in everything. Just cut one tomato. We advocate that foods given to babies at this time must not be fried, because their tummy cannot digest fried food easily. So we don't advocate for fried food. And then the snacks we are talking about, you didn't hear me mention puff puff.
Now that's our buns. Because it's very common. You see people give the...
When I used to be in the hospital, that's the first round I make whenever I come to work in the morning. And I watch out to see any woman. In fact, we wrote it in poster, no biscuits, no puff puff, no buns.
All the sweets,
because juices are terrible.
Sometimes you go to some, you know, crash or little, you see so much.
They mix up a lot of chemicals and add sugar, and we're giving to our children. We can squeeze orange juice and give to the baby. We can make pineapple juice and give to the baby. We can make watermelon juice. They are fresh. So the vitamins, the minerals are there.
Wow.
Okay, and the minerals, these ones that must be fresh. You know, the slightest thing can destroy the minerals. So why not give them when they are very fresh? So that the child will be taking adequate nutrition. So it's very, very important that it's a no-go area.
Because you see kids,
no biscuits, no buns, no puff puff, no chin chin. All those things that they use to fill up the child tummy of the baby and has no nutritional value. It will add nothing to the child's instead. That's right.
Becomes too active for this.
And the sugar level is constantly raised. By the time the child adopts middle age, we start talking about diabetes, because constantly we have put the level of the sugar in their blood high throughout their life by giving them all these sugary drinks. So we should be very careful.
Coming up
with diabetes.
So you know what they call diabetes that you think was something for older babies. Now, you know, there's another concept here of the bigger a baby is, the healthier the baby. And then
I don't buy to that. I don't.
People believe that, you know, sometimes you see eat and full your tummy
and the baby is very fat.
Like this child is healthy and is healthy.
Let me tell you, and that is a serious deceit. There was a time when the country was allowing artificial milk. They brought this milk that has everything written on it in Arabic. Nobody knows what is there, but they put one plumpy baby there. So mothers were buying it thinking that it has good stuff for the baby. But we noticed, eventually we found out that it's a killer milk. And it was, thank God for NAFDAC. They followed it up and they phased it out. So the size of the baby is not what depicts how healthy the baby is. It is weight for age. You know, I mentioned it earlier, okay, that some of the issues that the children go through, you know, as a component of malnutrition is stunting. We have underweight.
Yes, the stunting one is...
Yeah, we have underweight and we have wasting. When you talk of underweight, the child does not attain the weight of the age, her age. You know, we have what you call a median line. That median line is what a research that was done by WHO in getting the median level of weight for age, particular ages and so on, all over the world. And so that is what is used everywhere, you know, when you want to do assessment for children. And you notice that some of them are below, that is what we call underweight. That is not attaining the weight for that particular age. Some are wasted. You see their skin very shriveled, you know, and then some of them are stunted. Stunted, you see a child of 10 years, and when you look at the height will be the height of a child of 5. That is, all these things are as a result of bad nutrition. So, and in Nigeria, about 56% of our children are stunted. You know, even though it is when you now spread it out, it's worse in some particular parts of the country. Okay, but then when you add the whole value for the whole country, you see that it's nothing to write home about.
But is it, why are our kids getting stunted? Is it that the information is not getting to them on time or properly?
This lack of knowledge that we are talking about. The Bible says that my people perish for lack of knowledge. What lack of knowledge can do to anybody cannot be quantified, because you don't know that these things are good. All these mothers that buy nice puff and buns for their babies, even you, when you look at it, the smell is usually good. No single thing inside. You don't even add egg. They don't add anything. And then we have a lot of culture taboos that we tell us that a child should not take egg. A child should not take this. I was going
to ask that question.
Yes.
I know of the
like the paps can be fortified with egg. There's one recipe we teach mothers. Okay, you can, at that age of 6 months, you can remove the white of the egg, use just the yolk, add a little pap inside it, and boil it inside a teacup. Boil it inside a pot of water for about 10 minutes. The egg will be done, and then you mix it very well. Add a little sugar. If the child finishes that small quantity, you can be sure that he has the correct protein content for the day. So you can continue with breast milk, continue with other things. Okay, so these are vital things that and at the age of 1, the child is supposed to take egg at least 3 to 4 times a week. If we can't afford egg, there are other things we can afford. Meat, you can even get fish, we can get bone marrows and so on, and add in their food. And then this, thank God for some leaves. This soya milk, the soya beans that we're talking about, you can make it into powder, add it into the garri that you make. You add it into egusi, you can add it into everything that you prepare in the house.
Basically, what the key
for the whole children, you know, all the children in the house at under 10.
So the 0 to 12 months, even onwards, it's not too complicated. It's something that's around us every day.
It is not. It's because, I don't know, people look at it as if, where will I get money? Everything people say, well, you can even do backyard gardening. That can give you leaves, you know, the vegetables that you need. Okay, and fruit is available. With 10 naira, you can buy 1 fruit per day for the child. Even if you can't, you can have the plants all over you. We are so blessed. I think it's because we're over blessed. That's why people don't want to use some of these things. We have everything we need. I keep telling mothers, all you need to do is to make out time. Especially when you're introducing the baby to this complementary food. Make out time to know. And another important thing is that you make sure that the child gets used to a particular mix. We have the various styles. All these food components, we categorize them into stars. We have 1 star when there's only staple. Staple is the available roots that we have, you know, and cereals. Yes. Then we have the staples. We have protein. We have legumes. Okay, we have all these, and when you add only one category, like you're just giving the child pap and sugar, you're just giving only 1 star. And women are encouraged to make sure you have at least starting with 3 stars, then you move to the 4 stars. 4 stars, everything, yes. Every components of the food, you know, the food components that will add and make the nutritionally, the food that the child is taking balanced. Okay? So you can add staple, add protein, add fat and oil, add vegetables and fruits, and so on. By the time the child takes this, you can be sure that the child is receiving adequate nutrition.
Wow. So much. I think this has been one of the most eye-opening information I've had, and I hope that's the same thing our viewers, you know, are looking at it as. But really, there's a lot we're going to take home today. But I think the one that stands out is the one with the importance of the breast milk. You know, you make sure that the baby is responsible for bringing out the breast milk.
Baby's in charge.
And the fact that the food you think is too expensive is actually around you. If you just know how to combine them.
Exactly.
Thank you very much, Ma, for coming on the program. This is an eye-opener, and I want to believe our viewers have learned so much today, especially mothers that are, you know, looking to have their babies. You can start preparing yourself for this, and then, you know, bring up children that will help our society, reduce the cost
yes,
the society,
yes.
and also bring up healthier children, you know.
Yes, can I also say that for us to have healthy children, there are 5 components that are meant to be in place. Number 1, you talk about the food and the feeding, which we have discussed. Second one is health seeking for things that will improve their health, like immunizations and all whatnot. The third one is basic hygienic practices. Okay. Cleaning, water, fresh water, you know, to make sure that all the things they are using to prepare the food and things are washed, and the child takes clean water. By the time we put all these things together, you will see that the child, and then responsive feeding is another good one, because if you have all these things in place and the child is not fed, you know, adequately, that is, we're in love and helped her to eat, so the child may not eat what you have prepared. So all these things are very important.
All right, thank you very much for coming on the program today. Thank you so much. I've been discussing child nutrition with Mrs. Ngozi Ikeliani. She's a retired, she was the coordinator of nutrition in the Federal Capital Territory, and she had emphasis on infant and young child feeding. Thank you very much for coming to the program. So that's all we can take for today's program, and we hope you will join us next week to discuss more on Health Watch. Thank you very much for watching. My name is Angela Wednesday. Till I come your way next week, God bless you.